Hey guys, how's it going? So we got a news update yesterday morning at like what, 5 a.m. or something. So I know I'm already running a little late. Yeah, problems happen. But anyway, it is what like evening now or something. So let's go ahead and talk about this update. It's pretty cool. First of all, update in late March. So that should be tomorrow night because I mean really that's the next update next week would be the first. So this should be literally the last week of March that they can update it, unless they're going to do like an early Monday update. They've done that before for certain events. I don't think anybody's going to miss work for April Fools, so there we go. I don't think April 1st is going to be a big deal. So probably going to get this tomorrow night. And a lot of times with history, they've released it literally that week. A lot of times when they put out news. So going into it though, real quick, what is in this is, as if you haven't already seen this, if people's not looking at this, the Jegan and Char's counterattack stuff. It's starting now. So, with that, the next thing is they're doing a new boss fight, the Quin Mantha. They're putting that in, and then finally they're doing a huge list of things that they're doing for raids. And I've got some problems with some of them, and I've got concerns more than anything. But I will say, there's a lot of raids in the game that need buffs. So this is definitely a step in the right direction with some of the things they're doing. But we'll get to that when we get there. So real quick, they just talk about how many suits they've put in and stuff, because they started 1 year war, and then they expanded to Zeta and Double Zeta. I mean, honestly, we didn't think we were ever going to get Double Zeta. Most of us didn't for the longest time. And people would point out and say, well, the Dodge is Double Zeta, so there it is. There's proof. But, like, we didn't think it was going to get that far. But it did. And now we're looking at Char's counterattack. So let's go ahead and take a look at the Jegan. And here's the model and stuff for it. You want to kind of pause and read any of this, there it is. But mainly, it looks like it's going to be a general suit. And it looks pretty simple. I'm really curious to see the skills. So let's go ahead and watch the video, and I'll kind of point out why I'm curious to see the skills. Because I'm guessing this is going to be probably 600, 650 suit is what I'd have to guess. I mean, being from the time period that it's coming out. I mean, it could be lower. But either way, it looks like a Garibaldi Beta or a Mark II. Can't really tell there with the missiles. I'll go ahead and play that again, whether it staggers in... Because it looks like 2 of them missed. Like, the second one there missed. Maybe that was 3. But if it's 2 missiles, you could potentially stagger up to 2 people if you can only fire 2 and then swap and then come back. Or if you can just fire 2 and then stop firing. There's that. Overall, it looks pretty simple. I'm assuming it'll have 2 swings instead of just the downswing that they showed. But that kind of shows it kind of looks like a Mark II swing, but it has missiles kind of like the Beta. And hopefully it has 2 dodge rolls. So if it is a 600, 650 or anything high like that, it really needs those to kind of, well, compensate for probably a lack of extra damage and craziness. The thing is, though, a lot of times simple works and it does great. So is this going to be a push general that ends up being Mark II 2.0 situation? Or, I mean, are we essentially getting another Mark II? Honestly, that's what I thought of the O. The problem is with the O, it's a big suit, and a lot of suits at high cost are really big. So if we get a high-performing, damage-wise and just numbers-wise, general that is smaller, this could be a replacement for a lot of the bigger suits. And having a small frame and able to get around is a pretty big deal. I see GPO 1s that still do pretty well. So this could be a really cool suit. But we'll see. Let me know in the comments what you think about the cost. What do you think it'll do? How well do you think it's another Mark II situation? If no matter where it happens, is this going to be the new general of that cost? So yeah, let me know what you think in the comments down below. But moving on though, the boss, Quin Mantha. Let's take a look. Loading video. Come on. There it is. Oh, warning! Warning! Your suit explodes. No, but the Quin Mantha cool animation coming in here. Ooh. Stop. Looks pretty legit. By the way, this is one of my favorite suits just in Okay, maybe you know this, the Kshatriya, you know, they're both green, right? But someone was wondering if we'd ever get this as a suit. I was like, isn't this thing like huge though? So yeah, we're getting it as a boss. We'll get into the mechanics here in a second, but there you go. It's got nice little sweep attack beams, and it just looks really cool. Got the funnels, so yeah, it's probably gonna be. I don't know. It kind of looks like it could be easy. I'm really hoping it's terrifying, because the Psycho Mark II is pretty terrifying to fight against. And really, out of all three, for more veteran players, and by that I mean people who actually have suits, it's the hardest one out of the three. Really, the Trial is the hardest for most people, because if you don't have the FAS, the EXS, or the C1, you can't put parts on it, you can't change the weapon set, and that's really annoying. So hopefully this one's actually still kind of the hardest, and they keep putting some weight on the difficulty of this and what it can do. But it looks like it has funnels, the chest beams, it's going to be swinging a lot, it has that 360 spin to win attack, and here's the main thing, you can't deal weakness damage to it till you stun it. So you're going to have to stun it, and how? You have to shoot it in the back. So before it was shooting in the legs, this time you shoot it in the back to get that stun bonus off. Question is, depending on how big this hitbox is, this could be really hard to actually stun and then get the extra damage you need. So I'm really curious to see how hard that is, but they say this may sound difficult, but worry not. We've made the stun gauge rise faster for that very reason. So that was going to be the next thing that I was going to question, is can it go up faster? And if it does go up fast enough, this could be cool. You get one suit that can really get its attention, and then you have somebody just drill it. Now the thing is, are you going to have 3 suits that can really drill into it? Is that going to be the meta? And how well will that do? The main problem I could see here would be if it's rotating too much between people shooting it in the back, it could get really hard. So the strategies are going to be really interesting. I was thinking originally you use like supports and have the gimbal thing, so you have like one guy up top, whoever it's chasing goes up top and everybody goes below, or vice versa kind of thing. But yeah, will be really interesting. Also love the model. Really looks cool. It has nothing to do with it being green. Maybe it has a little bit, but yeah. Let me know again on this one what you guys think in the comments. And yeah, I'm pretty hyped. I'm actually one of the things that this tells me though is it looks like they're pushing forward. I want a big Zam now. Now that we've had something in space, give me a big Zam to fight in space, please. But anyway, major adjustments will be made to raid units. This is a big list here of things. So we'll kind of go through the first paragraph here. Essentially, they're talking about raids need adjustments because they're having problems just getting destroyed. And the thing is here, I find it funny when they talk about general units with no outstanding abilities. There's some generals that have some crazy stuff on them, just saying. Anyway, performance and high survival rate, that would play a leading role. Next paragraph, they talk about 1 support, 1 raid, and 4 generals is what they would image being, that's the image they had in mind for a team. So cool, we've, nailed it. Awesome. Now, keep this in mind when we get to the last thing that they're changing, which is actually really annoying to me. But, I mean, it does make sense. There's a meta for a reason and whatnot, but I still like to have some silly games that can work out. Just saying, if you can't figure out what it is, it might irk you if you are on the side of maybe having a full support team. There's a hint. However, if the raid unit becomes more powerful, the balance, pretty much, if it can take on generals, that would be bad. So they don't want to do that. So they're going to try to do maneuverability more than anything when it comes to essentially survivability. Maneuverability and survivability. Though it looks like they're going to do some more defense stuff, which I might have a little bit of an issue with, but that's just on certain suits. So the 2 main things: develop the unique characteristics and strengths of strong attacks, and remedies for numerical disadvantage between categories, essentially increasing survival rate. So normally we would like to do these 2 things at the same time, but since we have alleviated the situation as soon as possible, we want to alleviate the situation as soon as possible, we will start with the adjustments in one and as soon as possible, we will implement the adjustments in 2. And as soon as possible, we will. Okay, cool. Actually, it looks like they're kind of doing that. Anyway, we'll see. I'm really hoping we have a cool buff list tomorrow as well. So we'll probably not recover this stuff as always in the update tomorrow, and we can skim through it. So here we go. Reduced thruster consumption at the start of high-speed movement for all raid units. So pretty much the big thing here, 20% is the flat, 15 will be the new raid flat. So you just use less thrust. Here's an example. And things like maneuver armor and force injector kind of can stack with some of this stuff to make them both more effective. So that is really cool. I like this. So here we go. Like here's before, after. So you get 4 boost instead of 3. Makes sense. Here we go again. 2, 3, overheated, and then 4. So you get a little bit left over to get that 4th one out. Now moving on. Enhancement of existing skills for raid units. In this case, they're talking about maneuver armor level 2, since currently it's on only raids, and we will not give this skill to other categories unless there is an exception. So, I mean, they might, is what they're saying. We might do it if we forget or have a good reason maybe, but yeah. So, extend the strength of raid units and limit the units with skills. And essentially what they're doing here is the stagger accumulation is going from 5% reduction to 20%, which I'll point out suit. Actually, I guess I'll go and do that now. The Bolin Oak. Interestingly enough, now do I think this is going to make the Bolin Oak broken? But interestingly enough, depending on how this stacks with damage control, because it has damage control 3, you might be able, depending on which way they decide to stack it, if they're doing additively or multiplicatively, I think if I did the math right, one way you'll be able to fully, not even get staggered. Even if an MLRS dumps their entire clip into you with their Vulcans, you won't get staggered, which is kind of insane. Kind of cool, but kind of insane. And the other way is it's pretty much every bullet, and if they miss 1 or 2, you're not getting staggered. So either way, pretty cool. Now, will this make the Bolin Oak broken by any means? Not really, but it's kind of an interesting thing that certain suits like that can take advantage of some of these changes, which is why they need to be careful. And one of the suits that I think is just really insanely powerful that just came out, the Rick Diaz 2, has Maneuver Armor 2 and Force Injector 2. So it's going to take advantage of this, it's going to take advantage of this whole buff. So, and I already think it's probably the best raid we have at 600. Now, maybe there's better and whatever, but I mean, for a top tier raid to get even better, that is kind of scary. Which I might be playing a lot of the Rick Diaz 2 at 600 coming after this update, just saying. This is only available for units that have the skill, and that's the thing, and most of them are 400 and up. Which also is, what are they going to do about lower suits that are pretty much useless as raids? Now, the thing is, the good news, they've been looking at stuff like the Goof, and they've been buffing it. What will they do for the rest of them, though? Hopefully, they'll start doing the same kind of stuff, but it looks like they're doing it slowly. So this is a quick fix that I feel could cause some problems with certain suits that are already really good. Hopefully, personally, I would like to see a few suits get nerfed this patch that have these skills. I could go through a list now, but we'll just wait till tomorrow to actually see the full list. But there was a couple examples where I think this and even the next buff could be a thing. Now this next buff though, or could be a problem. This next buff though, I like. Establish the new skill for raid. And they're talking about new skills. So right now they've got one. This one is called Assault Booster. It's essentially a higher level of quick boost that'll go on raids, and you'll jump faster. Now I don't know if I meant to check if the Dom had it, but I did not. But their example here shows a Dom and a Freet DS, which is kind of a scary suit that, look how quick it can boost. And then boom, it's on a building. That thing can stealth up and show up on a building behind you. That's kind of scary. I'm also thinking, what if an Agu guy does that? Or an Ak guy can do that? That is kind of insane. But the question is, will it only be suits that have quick boost already? And I think I looked, and the Efreet DS does not, if I'm correct. So they're showing a level 1 up there, so I'm assuming that's level 1 of the new skill. And not only do you jump a lot quicker, but you're going to be able to not get knocked out. Oh, that's literally the next thing they show. Sorry, my bad. So then if you're jumping with this and you get hit with a normal stagger, you have stagger resistance. So that is kind of crazy. This is a very powerful skill for jumping on buildings. And now stealth units, they can get up there pretty easily, but the question is when you see somebody, a general's doing their job looking for the raid, they find them, and now they can't do anything for that guy jumping on the building. They can do some damage. They're not going to stop him from getting up there. And if your support doesn't see it, then again, maybe that's on the support at that point, but there are a few things that I'm kind of like, I see so many supports sitting on buildings. This is kind of going to get rid of that. I don't know. Maybe it needs to happen because I hate when I see too many people, period, jumping on buildings in military base. Anyway, skills effects. In addition to further reducing, okay, that's where they talk about you don't get staggered, so it's pretty cool. It makes it easier to approach support units. I will say this, as somebody who's played some things that can't really get on buildings quickly, having a support just sit there and wait, and you have to kind of maneuver around and like do a dance and then jump after you've staggered them or something. It's kind of awkward, especially if you're fully melee or near fully melee and you can't really kill them with ranged. Then you do this dance and you got to get the right jump just in time. If you don't have a dodge roll or something, this could be a little awkward. And if if they downswing you, you're just on the ground and there's nothing you can really do except for disrupt them, which kind of sucks. So I do kind of like this skill. I really liked when, I think the Nightseeker V has something that makes it not get staggered in the air. It's essentially this. I don't know if it's exactly this, but I thought it had something that stopped it from getting staggered while it's jumping, and it can jump on buildings easier. I thought we had one suit. But yeah, this is a really cool change. I like this skill. Definitely something they could definitely balance around, and really cool to see, because it is kind of annoying and really frustrating when you can't get up to that support because they just know you're there and they can just downswing you every time. Now, if they don't have a good downswing, then it's a lot easier. But again, that normally is a lot lower cost. Most of the time, higher cost, they have some kind of beam saber or something. So it's really awkward. But anyway, moving on, because I already know this one's probably... Okay, cool. We're actually under the time that I was going to try to get to. So here we go. We got the last one here that they're changing, and then we'll go through the rest of it real quick. So, when you have the... Okay, so adjustments of effects of category correction in the game. So this is, generals do more damage to raids, and they're saying that's a problem. The unit's enemy weak category attack only damage from the weak category will be reduced. So if you have one general so the enemy has one unit in the weak category, equals no damage compensation. Enemy has 2 units in the weak category, equals no damage compensation. Enemy has 3 or more units in the weak category, equals damage compensation from categories you are weak in. Defense up. Now, if that was just 3 or more and that was it, I wouldn't have too much of a problem. But here's where I have a problem. It is assumed that the damage compensation from the weakness category will increase as the number of units increases. In order to prevent both sides from knowing each other's formation status in advance, we will not display the correction status. So this part right here is kind of annoying, because if you have, say, an all support comp, now I don't know how they're going to do this, we don't have the numbers yet, but say it's stacking, they just additively stack it. If you have 3 supports, then generals will have the buff. If you have a 4th support, then generals have 2 times 5 supports, 6 supports, 3 times and 4 times whatever this buff is. Now we don't know how it stacks or what the number will be, but that is the potential. So this could be like another 20%, because someone pointed out, well, it probably works just like the enhancement skill. And if it does, that's like 5%. So that could be 20% reduction if you have an all support comp for a team that's going to be mostly generals. But on the flip side, that means even more resist for, there's a lot of times where you'll see 5 generals and 1 support. It looks like it's going to feel a lot better to play that one raid, so you're going to definitely want to do that. and you get at least some kind of damage reduction, because in a 5v5 you normally have 3 generals. Now, are we going to start seeing 2 support comps, or even in 5v5 2 support comps? That's going to be really interesting. The sad thing is there's never going to be an all support comp, most likely these days, and definitely not an all raid comp, because then they're just going to get slaughtered. So anyway, let's look at this other paragraph here, because I'm really curious what they have. This adjustment itself does not apply to raids. Okay, we already know that. If the general unit wants to play it safe, wait, hang on. Attack the supports by approaching it at once, taking advantage of the gap between the general and the support units. Also, in terms of tactics, if the general wants to play it safe, it will have to respond to the raid with a greater numerical advantage than ever before. But this entails the risk of the collapse of the front line. So they're wanting 2 or more generals to have to go on a raid to stop it. My problem here with all of these changes is they're expecting 2 or more generals to turn around and help you when you say support me. I'm just saying. As a support main, that's the crazy notion there. I feel like there's going to be a lot more salt for raids versus supports. I feel like it's went down a little bit because everybody's like, well, supports are getting wrecked. But there we go. So there's a couple of problems I have with this one. But, I mean, it does, if teamwork happens, it's really cool for, like clan games. Like, that's going to be awesome. But yeah, we do not expect this to improve the entire situation, blah, blah, blah. Cool. So, then they have Spring Festival soon. Now for the fun part. That's funny. The event details will be announced separately, but will be ready, for some spectacular goods this festival. So that's going to be, I figured this would be more of like Golden Week. So this should be later in April. I'm guessing this is like the last week of April when they'll do this. And we'll have the Spring Festival. So this is soon. Sorry. I originally thought, I don't know if I said this earlier, but I originally thought this was going to be this week. But yeah, it looks like this is coming sometime in the future, sometime next month in April. Cool. And there also event details will be announced, and they're doing some like video thing with a new player, the movie. So if you are a new player, the movie will automatically play once you've created your avatar. That's kind of cool. There's a cutscene thing. So interesting. I'll probably be making a new account with the new changes for the newer players, like parts and stuff, and doing the week of 5 times bonuses. So that'll be really cool. And they have some closing words and stuff like that. Continuing to improve existing blah, blah, blah. Okay, cool. Anyway, guys, let me know what you think about all these raid changes. Are you excited for the festival coming up? And what do you think we're going to get for the festival for a suit? There we go. That's a good question. And also, any salt that you have for the raid changes or praise for the raid changes, let me know in the comments down below. But anyway, guys, that will be it for this one. Usual links in the description, Twitch, Twitter, Discord, stuff like that. So, like, comment, subscribe, all that good jazz. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Have a good one. Peace!